How's it going? Any shred of credibility I've had is currently doing a gainer off the cliffs of Moher because I've never beaten Hollow Knight. Back in 2017, this was the indie game. Beautiful art style, beautiful music, beautiful gameplay, and most importantly, a beautiful price tag. It was even part of that running joke about everything being like Dark Souls. I saw so many people showing love to this game that I had to pick it up. And then it just laid around in my Steam library for ages, as always. But then I finally gave it a go and played it for 4 hours. However, a year later, I put my foot down and played it for 1 hour. I have no idea why I dropped this game twice. I didn't find it that hard, and I don't hate Metroidvanias either. Indie developers have provided some of my favorite games. Even this one, unfortunately. Maybe the lack of controversies is why I didn't click with Hollow Knight. But one day, I thought, enough is enough. It's 2025. Silksong is coming out in... lads, that could be any fucking day. I had to get rid of this from my backlog. If I can dedicate 85 hours to Fall Guys, I can force myself to play Hollow Knight. So let's see if this game is good, bad, or just not for me. I'm definitely not rage baiting with suggesting it's bad. So Hollow Knight, as mentioned earlier, is a Metroidvania. We take control of a little insect and stumble upon Hallow Nest. You run into this old lad who tells you 50,000 people used to live here, but now it's a ghost town, and that's all you're told. You go straight to killing inferior looking insects with no questions asked. Maybe your character's racist, but let's not get into that. As you explore and meet new characters, you learn a little more about Hallow Nest, how it was once a flourishing kingdom before they basically turned into zombies after an infectious outbreak. I love environmental storytelling. It's a lot like Bioshock. Yeah, it's a lot like Bioshock. Being rewarded with piecing together the story by actively looking for clues, it keeps you engaged with the story in a meaningful way. This world can feel bleak, so meeting these characters is like a special moment in your journey. There's so much lore to uncover as well. You can find movies on YouTube if you want to invest your time into fully understanding Hollow Knight's universe. God bless these lads piecing together thousands of environmental clues, character lines, and boss names to create a timeline of the story. I couldn't even write a page about my life, and these lads are creating novels out here. Also, just look at this game. Look at the slick animations, look at these unique environments. The backgrounds are so layered and dynamic. It's a gloomy setting, but I'm blown away by every new part of the map and how they have different enemies and mechanics to keep in line with the theme. How it was not costing them millions to draw, color, and animate the visuals. I mean, Jesus Christ, this probably cost way less to develop than a game like Sonic Forces. No offense to Sonic Forces, but actually no, full offense, because that game is fucking shite. And they charge €15 for this game, even less during a sale. These lads could probably build a supercomputer with a budget of 50 cents. But not only does the game look perfect, it sounds perfect. The ambience, the sounds from the enemy, the sounds from you, that beautiful hum you hear when you're about to cop a map of the area, adds to the atmosphere. And that soundtrack from Christopher Larkin as well. Dirtmouth is on par with Majula from Dark Souls. Sorry. We have elegant, solemn tunes, and then for the bosses, it's like BAM! Intensity instantly cranked up with the music. And then we have the gameplay. If you've played a Metroidvania, you know how it goes. Some platforming, some fighting, and a lot of exploring. Platforming just gets better and better the more you play. Like, yeah, it's perfectly fine at the beginning, you know, you can jump and walk, but it's those mechanics you unlock later that hit like crack. The dash, the wall jump, the super dash, and the double jump. It makes the platforming that much more seamless. You just feel more and more like a Mr. Beast with these moves. You're effortlessly gliding through each area without much thought because the controls are so tight-knit. Even at challenging sections of platforming, these new moves are just muscle memory after a while, and God bless that super dash. Yeah, sometimes I might run straight into an enemy or a pit, but it makes backtracking that much quicker when I can just skip the whole area. Wall jumping allows me to quickly climb up rather than hopping from platform to platform, and the regular dash is more clutch than Divock Origi at Anfield. What I'm trying to say is that the platforming here is some of the best I've ever experienced. Moving on to the combat, it's actually quite simple, mainly just hitting and dodging, a lot like the game Dark Souls. Never mind. You think this would get boring after a while, especially when you're only facing bog standard enemies at the beginning, but combine it with the movement I was talking about and it creates a plethora of tense encounters. New enemies are always being thrown at you that fight differently, meaning it never feels like you're only dodging and hitting. Sometimes you gotta dash, sometimes you gotta double jump, even whip out the little extra moves you get later on, and it's so responsive as well. Every swing has weight, every dodge feels tight and satisfying when you avoid an attack. Some enemies may be a complete pain in the arse, but no damage taken weakened feels unfair, and healing can take a moment, meaning you gotta strategize when it's safe to do so. The charms can be a game changer as well. I always had the icon for the map because I'm useless with directions. The long nail would give me that extra inch with landing hits, which was essential at some points. Having thorns pop out when I took a hit could bail me out of a tight scenario, and that's just a few of the many that you can pick from. Once you know your playstyle, you can elevate it with the charms slapped onto your character. And the boss fights, good god, the gameplay is at its peak here. Just like in Dark Souls. Anyways, you learn their patterns, know when to stand back, know when to charge in, utilizing every move possible in order to deal the final blow. They're intense, but I was always in complete awe of them as well. I didn't find them as impossible as Dark Souls, as other games had me well equipped for what to expect, but I was still completely locked in for each one. Now I briefly want to talk about the final boss, and even though this game is like 8 years old, I'll put up a spoiler warning anyway. It's not even the true final boss, but anyways. The Hollow Knight was an unreal boss fight. I mean, it whooped my ass, but Jesus, I was loving every second of it. I feel like I really had to knuckle down on the attack patterns as well as what charms I should be using. Now, other bosses like Hornet did give me a hard time as well, but this was the real challenge where I had to plan my tactics like I'm Prime Jose Mourinho.
I am Jose Mourinho.
Riveting fight. That was quite depressing at the end. I mean, your man is literally killing himself from the infection. And of course, I got the ending where my guy becomes the new Seal. It's a lot like Gwyn from Dark Souls. I mean, it's a lot like a character from another game I know. But yeah, I gotta go back and take on the real final boss. Now, how could I not mention the benches? It's like a rainy winter night. You've plodded through hell, and that bench is like reaching your local pub. The barman hands you a freshly poured pint, and you sit down by the fire, grateful for your existence as you take your first sip. I think I'm going to go to the pub after this. And then the bulk of the game is exploration. Now, as I said earlier, I don't hate Metroidvanias, but I'm not very familiar with the genre as well. Mainly because exploration can be overwhelming for me at times. I always overthink about how I need to remember to go here, here, and here, and it can scramble my brain when I'm trying to think of where to go next. Also, you know in One Piece when Zoro accidentally leaves Alabasta at one point during the climax? That's basically me when looking for where I'm meant to be. I suck ass at directions. So, with that in mind, Hollow Knight's lack of clear direction would not be my cup of tea. And don't get it twisted, there were a few points where I was running around like a headless chicken, especially when I couldn't find the guy that sells maps. Like, for example, I went down to the Royal Waterways, ran around, fought some enemies, could not find Conifer for the life of me, ran into a boss, beat the boss, and ended up in a new area where I had no map. And I need maps. I don't trust myself to find my way back without one. This was like my worst nightmare, and yet I kept wanting to explore further. I would have no map, no idea of where the nearest bench is, where the last stag is, and I didn't care. I was so mesmerized by each new environment that I didn't care if I was in the completely wrong place and unequipped. Hollow Knight had fully sucked me in at this point that nothing was enough to turn me away from the game. Even when I was aimlessly walking around trying to find the next area to go, it was so rewarding when I finally came across it. If I'd used a guide or looked up a YouTube tutorial, I would have completely killed that feeling of wonder. And this world is fucking massive. Every time I thought I'd reached the limit, nope. Now you're in a bee's nest. I feel like Hollow Knight has helped me overcome my fear of exploration and backtracking in Metroidvanias, which is actually insane. I was so worried that this would stop me from beating the game, and I powered through it without a second thought. And now I feel like I've been missing out on this genre. I need to go and play these games now. When you think you've seen everything Hollow Knight has to offer, that's when Team Cherry whips out the completely free DLCs that add more lore, more challenges, and more bosses. Lads, I only witnessed 57% of what the game had to offer when I beat it. There's no need to add more, and for free as well. Here, come on, let me give you a little extra because I've absolutely fleeced you for €15. Just deep it. You could buy 2 to 3 pints for the price of a game that could take over 60 hours to fully complete. Are the lads at Team Cherry even earning money? There must be like slave labor or something happening. Well, good God almighty, Hollow Knight, the game collecting dust in my Steam library, the game I gave up on twice, the game I only picked up again because I wanted to have it out of my backlog. It has completely changed my life. It is one of the most rewarding gaming experiences I've ever had. That dreary but comforting melancholic world had me fully invested from start to finish. From the combat, the exploration, the art, the music, the areas, everything came together in a way that clicked with me more than I ever expected. It's not just good, it's a fucking masterpiece. It's given me a newfound respect for the Metroidvania genre that, I don't know if any other game could have pulled off. It's crazy that I even imagined the idea of this game being bad. I actually did find a few videos from people that didn't like Hollow Knight, such as this fiend here.
Another problem with the map being too big is that there'll often be a specific room that'll be a huge help that you can completely miss because you obliviously ignored it. The only hint that they exist is a single sign in the previous room.
Anyways, I can finally say I'm not one of the few people that haven't played Hollow Knight. I can finally see why it's one of the most celebrated indie games. I can see why people went crazy for a tiny trailer of Silksong back when the Switch 2 was being announced. This game has been in the oven for years and I can't wait to see what Team Cherry has cooked. But back to the original game, what more can I say at this rate? I just gave Bart Bash the score, but I'm gonna have to do the same for Hollow Knight. 10 on the board. I don't care if I'm glazing, I fucking loved every minute of it. You know, it kind of reminds me of that game Dark Souls.